All right. All right, thanks for coming. This is super informal, just a little social gathering really to catch us all up on some WordPress stuff. Thanks for humoring me by volunteering to do show and tells, those of you who are going to be presenting tonight. We've got Sally's going to talk about a product table plugin. Susan's talking about some maintenance tools she uses. Susan is doing only maintenance work now, which probably has some pretty interesting specializations. And Nancy's been taking some online classes and different things that sound like a good thing to review for the rest of us who might be interested in taking online classes. I've been messing around with block templates if anybody's interested in those. And Ken, do you have something to talk about?
While the others are going, I'll see if I can pull this up and see it, because I was hoping to have a little time this afternoon to
okay.
see. Well, I'll see if I can get it together.
Yeah, don't worry about it. No pressure. Does anybody want to go first?
I will.
Okay, great. Thanks, Susan. I think, let me see. I think you should be able to present. I'm going to make you the co-host just in case that helps. Can you share your screen?
Yes.
Great.
Let me see which screen I want to share.
The one with the least embarrassing things on it.
Yeah, really.
That's the truth.
Okay, so I kind of switched to nothing but maintenance, and so I don't build websites anymore, but sometimes you inherit orphans that, oh, we've got this site that's built on Divi or whatever, and we want to get the shortcode out of there. And so I'll do a little bit of that kind of like remediation work, but primarily I'm doing maintenance. So one of the tools that I came across that has made this easier for me is, hang on, let me get to I heard about this guy, the admin bar. And is anybody familiar with that?
Yes.
Okay, so you guys all know. So I started using that web owner's manual that you can purchase from the admin bar, and getting the newsletter and in the Facebook group and that kind of stuff. So it's been really interesting, kind of like that Business of WordPress Slack group, Sally. Just lots and lots of good information in there, and people discussing, how they do things. So I've really enjoyed that. And so when I'm kind of in between an agency and the client, a lot of times the agency, or sometimes the agency all they want to do is build it, and they'll hand it off to me for maintenance. So we'll use this. Let's see, website owner's manual. So when you hand the site off, you give them this manual. It tells them, here's all your logins. Here's how to take care of things. Here are the tasks that you need to execute. And as those of you who are familiar with this will know, it's basically kind of a scare tactic. When the site owner sees this and says, oh my gosh, I can't do all that stuff, then they say, will you do this for me? so then you've got a new client. And I am using, how many people are using Managed WP for maintenance, for client maintenance? Yeah, so I have really liked it. I've been using it for a long time. I don't know if you want to see what that dashboard looks like. Does anybody use any other product?
I use main WP.
Main WP, okay. There's main WP. There's Infinite WP, and then there are several of them, but WP Remote. So the one I use, let's see if I can get to it, is Managed WP, and the difference, there are a number of differences between these management tools, but basically they give you a dashboard for all the sites that you're managing so that you can see them all and update them all on on one convenient place. And hang on just a minute, let me see if I can sign in here. Oh, sorry, it logged me out. So all clients are in a central location, and each one of them you can manage the plugins, you can update core, and then you can pull reports. You can run security stuff. So like I said, I've used this one for a long time. It was bought, I think, in 2016 by GoDaddy.
Mhm.
And so everybody was really scared that it would become corrupted, but so far it hasn't. Although I have a feeling that that may change because GoDaddy is pushing that GoDaddy Pro Hub so much. I know you probably have seen that too. If you have any GoDaddy clients, or if you've used GoDaddy Pro to try to log in as the client, they're really pushing that. So I'm a little scared about what's going to happen to Managed WP. So I've been kind of looking at some of the other products. So
They just bought Pagely too, which is
yeah.
another managed WordPress host.
Yes, and aren't they going to use? They're gonna provide WooCommerce as SaaS through that alliance, I think.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah, it's going to be
about
like a
doing.
full, basically a Shopify,
Mhm.
competitor. So they're doing a lot of stuff, and that's kind of scary to me. So I'd be interested to hear what anybody else has to say about, the solution that they use, like Main. Do you like it? I think, is Main WP one of the ones where you install it, it's self-hosted, you install it on your own server?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I just created another website on my server that I called the maintenance website, and it has nothing on the front end because it's all
It's just
dashboard. Yeah.
Okay. And have you tried anything else, or are you really happy with that, or?
I didn't try anything else. I had a trial with that one 3 years ago or so. And I just liked it. I liked the way it worked. It was really intuitive. The help was really great. And so, yeah.
One of the features I know that some of these other services have is like a malware scan, and Managed WP has that too, but I don't trust it. I've actually scanned a site that I knew was infected, and it didn't pick it up. So
Oh, no.
I have no trust. So I didn't know if maybe people would have recommendations about that, or the client reporting with other services. Just curious. No.
I don't do a lot of reporting, so
Okay.
I don't use that
No.
utility.
I have clients that they insist that they have a report, but they don't ever do anything with it. They just like to have it. It's like proof
Like
that you're
having-
actually doing something.
It's like having an
So-
invoice.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they'll it'll tell them that their page speed is an F. It's created an F, and they never ask about it. They never, so I don't know.
Is that what your the reports are, Susan? Is it like performance and traffic
Yeah.
metrics?
So I can show you. I think I can show you. one
I
of the
don't
reports.
show that stuff. I just show like what's been updated, how many backups are there, like what's been cleaned up in the database optimization that they have on there. And that's it. I don't show them anything with SEO.
So it's basically just proof of your work, proof that you've,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh,
I don't know. Can you see that?
A monthly status report.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So this is an example of one that gets generated. So it's telling them, here we did this many backups, this many updates. But this one also is showing analytics stuff. And I've got one client that gave me a gigantic list of keywords that they want to monitor, and they want to see what competitors are who their competitors are. So their report shows that too. So I do not know what they do with it, but they like having it. So
Seems like the Google Analytics tools would be better for that.
yeah, but
Yeah.
I just don't think I don't think they know what to do with it. If they're a little company, like, with 5 people working in it, I don't think they know what to do with it. So I've gotten as sophisticated as I'll take this report and I'll combine it with a data studio report,
Oh, okay, yeah.
Google Data Studio, and look at Search Console and analytics, and then give them kind of a, here's what I think you ought to do to make these numbers move, like an analysis.
Yeah.
And it's just like, they just want to possess it, but they don't want to actually do any of the work or hire anybody to do any of the work. So
Somebody told them you should be tracking this.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then magically something will happen.
Happens, yeah.
No, so there's a little bit of a disconnect there. And I don't know if maybe I came in and said, look, I can do this and this and this, and it'll take this many hours and that'll help you, but I don't want to do that. So
Yeah.
I just want to tell them what's wrong.
I just want to hit the button to update all your stuff and send
That's
you the
right.
invoice.
That's right.
That's
So
it.
I'm curious too, everybody that provides maintenance for clients, do you have any like horror stories, like where it's gone hideously wrong and you've updated something and their site has disappeared? Or
I have a client that I told her from day one, before I even started working on her site, that she had to get off of Bluehost. She refused, and sure enough, about 3 weeks ago, her site completely got infected.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And so I'm like, and she's asking me, well, how did this happen? Or how can I stop doing this? And I'm like, one, get off of Bluehost, which is what I told you from the very beginning.
Yep.
And so she also has a server guy. So I got a hold of the server guy and I'm like, okay, her site's completely infected. And so we need to like move her off.
what did you do to get her cleaned up? Where did you refer her to?
Well, the server guy had a backup of for the past 3 months. Every day he would have a backup. So basically what he did was he just opened up a fresh new hosting account over on 1&1 and just reinstalled a backup from like a month and a half ago. And then I just went in to update everything, and then it was fine. And I haven't heard from her since.
Wow.
Happy ending.
It wasn't an e-commerce site, was it?
No, but it was a digital agency. And the client is just she has no idea how to build a website. No clue. She had me
Wow.
build a landing page for one of her clients, and her graphic design team had quit. So she sent me a Word document of how she wanted the landing page laid out with the images embedded into the doc. And I'm like, I can't get this off of there. Oh
I'm
my
real
God.
curious about that, Nancy, because that kind of being in the middle of you've got somebody who's bringing in the business, but they don't know how to do it
Right.
themselves. So
Right.
you're a contractor for them. Are other people in that situation where there's an agency that they're kind of subcontracting for, but the agency is sort of clueless?
I've been working for a contracting, because I have my own business, but I've been working for a company, an agency that I'm getting along with pretty well, to the point where they're talking about hiring me as an employee, but I kind of like being independent. But I'm their main WordPress person and they're trying to get more into WordPress. And so I'm in a position where they
You can
provide
write your
maintenance though. So,
ticket.
huh?
You can write your ticket.
That's what I'm working on. So I'll build sites with them, and then the same client will just stay on a support contract, and I'm doing the support and the maintenance. And
But
that
then-
works smoothly, because then I know what's going to break, and I know why it broke.
Yeah.
Do the people at the agency know how you work, or was there like a growing pains when you first started working with them?
There's kind of
Like-
ongoing. They're a Drupal agency, and a lot of Drupal clients started asking for WordPress sites. So it started out with just like one, and over the year, they told me this year that I'm like 30% of their business now. the
Wow.
WordPress projects.
Wow.
Because a lot of people are just kind of fleeing Drupal.
Yeah.
So I can, and they have like, marketing people and content strategy people and so forth. So, and
Mhm.
designers. So I just do the WordPressy parts, which is the part I like. So it works pretty well. And I like maintaining the sites that I've built, because sometimes you know how it is when you inherit a site, sometimes it's just crazy in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have no
Sometimes-
idea what the hell happened.
Oh yeah, I just got a site to maintain, and they had like 3 slider plugins installed. They've got 3 pop-up plugins
Oh.
installed. So anything that goes wrong, you're like, well, which one is this?
Can we delete this?
That's
No,
WordPress
damn it.
That was the
forensics.
first thing I did, was like, okay, I'm going to delete all these plugins. Let me
And see what breaks.
if you want me to stop, say it now.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Susan, I have a question for you though. Because I do a lot of maintenance, I have many questions about it. Okay, for Susan, do you have any hosting requirements or any kind of infrastructure requirements for your clients, or are they just all over the place?
I'm kind of a I want to have those standards, but it's really hard when the client comes and they're desperate and they're
Yeah.
like Nancy's person on Bluehost, and you're trying to say you got to get off of there.
But they
So
don't
I
listen to
do
you.
I do forensic stuff where I've got one that's hosted on a server that's in their office. I have no idea what the setup is like. They won't give me FTP access. So you try to protect yourself a little bit in those situations, but I'm kind of pushing everybody to WP Engine. And I
Okay.
know everybody's got their favorite hosting situation, but WP Engine, for my old brain, it's kind of like, they're nice. I can chat with them anytime. I can back up on demand. Everything's all right there. So I've really enjoyed working with them, and they have their flaws, but they are not deal breakers. So I try to push everybody there and, give them a discount. And,
No
so,
hosting company is perfect.
no.
That's very true.
And they're always in flux. It's like I can say, oh, WP Engine, greatest customer service. And then in a month, they've changed something so that that's not true anymore. So
Yeah, there's almost like a sweet spot when they're a certain size, and then when they start expanding, you can see the customer service kind of starts declining.
Like
Yeah.
SiteGround. SiteGround.
Yeah. SiteGround has
like-
kind of hit
They're
that.
They're more of an ego hound now too.
Yeah.
They're very ego hungry.
Yeah.
It's like recently they had an issue with Google dropping
Yeah.
their keys or something.
de-indexing the sites.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I wouldn't
and-
admit it for a few days.
I know. And SiteGround's like completely blaming Google for it. It's like, and then you watch some of the threads on Facebook, and they're like responding to people on Facebook that it's not their fault. And I'm like, well, maybe if you just admit that maybe it's not your fault, but you know what, you just fixed it. So who cares?
Yeah.
Just take the hit and just say it's
Yeah.
fixed.
Wow.
So Claire, do you try to push people to a certain host, or you just?
Well, this company I'm working with is on Pantheon. So I have processes in place for Pantheon, and I find Pantheon really easy to work with when I'm working with other developers, and because they have how WP Engine has staging and live. Pantheon has 3 environments: dev, test, and staging. So you can always like move things around, or if it breaks in one place, you don't have to worry about it affecting somewhere else. So I like that a lot. I also like Flywheel,
Mhm.
and I do have one client on WP Engine, and I agree. I like them a lot. They have a lot of the manual backups are nice. The interface is really easy to work with. I haven't called their customer service yet. I really prefer to stay away from customer service if at all possible. So a nice, easy interface where I can just see everything that I need to do is important. So, Susan, what do you have a process for when you're using these tools like Managed WP, or do you have a process for like taking back up some stuff before you update, or what's your
Yes.
whole process
Yeah,
like when you do an update?
I update once a week on Fridays, and I'll take a backup. I'll use Updraft Plus if they're not WP Engine clients, but I also use Manage WP to take a backup if I've paid for that. Now, I've got some clients that they pay little enough for monthly maintenance that I can't afford to pay for. Well, I could, but I don't. So I'll use Updraft Plus and the hosting backups. So I take a backup, I do the updates one at a time, check to make sure that nothing's broken, and very rarely is it broken. So that happens on Fridays. And then I'm kind of like you. I remember you saying one time, Claire, I like to get in there and actually be in the dashboard and have my hands on things, because there's all kinds of other little places that you can look, site health, and is the, if you've got an SMTP plugin that's sending mail, is everything cool with that? So there's lots of other things to look at in there, but I don't do that more than about once a month. So yeah, that's the process. And usually I have at least 2 different backups in different places, belt and suspenders kind of stuff, because some of it's cloud-based, some of it's server-based. I try to back up off of the server, off of the actual hosting server. That's how Updraft Plus sets up initially. So I try to make sure I've got them in other places, like Easter eggs all over the place.
No, that's smart, I think.
Yeah. So, and then once monthly, I pull a report for them just so that they know that I'm actually doing something for them. And they're always real grateful. Anything else you can think of that would be processed that I?
That's well, except for restoring. If you ever had a problem where you needed to roll back to a backup,
Yes. Yes.
can you just, is it with Updraft, can you just hit the button restore?
Yeah, Updraft. So Updraft is probably my least trustworthy. And I don't use the pro version of it, so maybe that would make a difference. But I have definitely had problems restoring sites and even backing up sites with Updraft Plus. If they've got lots of big images, or they've got hundreds and hundreds of blog posts, or if the setup is like the theme, and the theme, if it's a custom, I've got one client where it's a custom theme that was designed like 7 years ago, and it's got all the ACF stuff built inside that you can't even see it or get to it or control it in any way.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Have
Yeah.
no idea how out of date and what the security is like for this theme. That particular site, I can never get it to back up correctly. So there are problems, but most of the time it's flawless. And I have had to roll things back, and God bless backups. So
Yeah, having a good host that will do nightly backups also, and will save at least 3-4 days worth.
Yeah, so that
save your cojones.
really on-demand backups, I feel like I couldn't live without those now, because I've got several clients that are e-commerce clients, and they don't sell a lot of stuff, but I can't use a backup from 3 days ago because they've gotten orders have come in. So
That's a good point. Okay.
That's
You
one
can't
thing.
miss an hour.
Yeah, that's one thing I don't want to maintain is a WooCommerce site, because I don't want to be responsible in case it goes down and they start losing sales because of an update went wrong, and I'm like, I just don't want the hassle. I really don't.
Yeah, I've never done that.
Those are the cases where you do it, and you do the update in off hours and take that back up first, and then put it in maintenance mode so no one else is ordering.
Right.
I was going to say I've got one client that has a really busy, big WooCommerce installation, and I'm kind of the technical interpreter for that client, and they use an agency to do all of the updates. The updates only happen once a month, And exactly that process you're talking about, Sally, where it's off hours, it's at night, it's in maintenance mode. They test everything they can possibly test. And it costs $400 a month for them to do that. Yeah, so.
It's worth it.
I need to up my rate.
Worth it than it breaking.
Wow. Hey, there's a question from Lance in the chat. Can I ask what Susan uses for backup if she does not like Updraft? But I think you said you do like Updraft, but you also use
I use Updraft. I would rather trust Updraft than the actual managed or shared hosting situation where they're backing up, to the server that the site is on. That's just not a good scenario for me. So I do use Updraft Plus when I have to, but I much prefer to use a tool like Managed WP, or if the hosting provides off-site cloud-based backups that I can download.
A lot of time on those shared ones too, they say they back it up every night, but in order to use it for restore, you have to pay extra.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they say it's not for restore. It's just, I don't know what it's for
It's
then.
just
I don't
for
know.
fun.
It's just for their advertising.
Apparently.
Exactly.
But I think backing up on the same server doesn't make any sense to me, because if there's a problem on the server.
That's right.
And
And I
it's
had-
really nice to have your own copy you control somewhere else.
I mean, I know Divi went through a pretty major update a few weeks ago, and I went in on even clients that aren't on my maintenance, and I went in and I did a manual backup with all-in-one migrate, just exported out,
Yeah.
exported out whatever I could get off of it, just so I had it, just in case.
Yeah.
So, but I don't have hundreds of clients, so I can afford to spend some time doing that for clients that aren't paying me.
Well, isn't that plugging up like $100 right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
that's
a
an
business
investment.
expense.
Yeah, right.
You gotta use it.
Yeah.
All right, can I just quick ask, because
Sure.
I love all-in-one and it's absolutely great. Is there any way that you can get that thing to run on its own?
Like on a timer, you mean, like a cron job?
Yeah, that would be great.
Oh.
They say you can do it, but I've never gotten it to work.
No idea.
Because as far as backing up and restoring, it's like it's the best thing I've ever found.
Maybe on the pro version.
I'm on the pro version.
Oh, all right. Well, I've never tried it with a timer.
Yeah.
A good idea to send them, like you can send, they can improve.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the wish list or whatever.
Their answer is it's a migration tool, even though there's an option for backup.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
that's your answer, that they want to focus on the migration part, not the backup part.
Yeah.
That would be a good geeky topic, though, if you did something on cron jobs.
Well,
There's
there
gotta
you
be, I
go.
mean, technically, there's gotta be a way to do it. It's just you're digging around in the timing on the server.
Yeah.
Could look into that. Yeah, that would be a good geeky topic, like you said.
We got work for Claire.
Right.
You know what Claire's
Right.
doing next
Extension
weekend?
to all in one.
Everybody else is shopping and watching football. Claire's figuring this out.
Or no.
This is why I like making my clients pay $100 a month for hosting, so I don't have to worry
Yeah.
about this sort of
There you go.
Give Claire
Although I
all
think
the
you can
hard
get
ones.
like on WP Engine and even Pantheon for like $35 or so these days.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Nancy, you want to be up next, or Sally?
sure.
Nancy,
Hi,
okay.
Nancy.
Sure. I'm gonna just throw things up in the chat because they're
Let me
all links.
make you co-host in case that will help.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. Hi. I had told myself at the beginning of the year I was not going to pay for any courses, but damn it all, I did. And recently a lot. Some of these are pretty Divi related, but some of them are, you can use them for whatever. Anybody can use them. I took a course on accessibility. Let me copy that and it's over here. Let's see. get it in here. It's not cheap. Some of these are not cheap, so I apologize. But this one is good for learning about accessibility. She does not like Divi. She does, you know, Colleen, who runs it, doesn't like Divi because it's not accessible. But there is a plugin for Divi to make your website accessible, ISK. So there. Anyway, and then she talks about which I did not know, but you can make like PDF docs that you like click and download off a website. Those should be accessible too. She mentioned that in the course, but not how you do it. And then I was over at the Adobe Max recently, and they had a presentation on the how to work with the Adobe the Acrobat to make your doc accessible. And I think it also ties in with InDesign. So there's that. Then I took a course on, I'm still taking this. I'm in the last module. It's super long. This is more Divi related, but going back to basics on how to work with Divi, how to, you know, really extend, you know, like the animations, the CSS, and I just like learning about how Ania, who runs this, she's from Poland, and just the different viewpoint of how websites are built and their general aesthetic are different. So I always liked her stuff. She's got stuff on YouTube, on tutorials on YouTube that I've referred to. So that's really good. And again, you could probably use it for like whatever theme you're on. It's just, if you know HTML, CSS, you know, some jQuery, and just, you know, whatever theme you're working on, how you're going to add that into the theme. It's great. And then I just finished this one. It was super fast to take, which I don't know was very good, but I'm working to build my first child theme to put up for sale. And this one is run by Michelle Noonan. And she does a really good job of like showing you what to watch out for in building a child theme, her workflow as far as research, planning, the sitemap, the wireframe, how to make things work faster for you in the actual building of it. And then how to package it up by using Easy Demo Import Pro. That's the one that she recommends. Which that one, I think for the backup issue, you could probably use that to create, you could package up the entire website into that, but it's, you know, it's expensive for that usage though. But it's something that they do. And then, sorry, I told you I went through a lot. This is all in the last few months. Then I went into branding. Oh, let's see. Here's this one with Philip Van Dusen. He just finished the latest cohorts, I guess, and I'll probably re-up it probably at the beginning of the year. But this one went into how you can become more of a partner with your clients instead of just being a code monkey, where he has tools that you use, for instance, like doing in-depth interviews with the client and with the other stakeholders in the project. And then he has a whole bunch of tools that you start filling in, like building up like customer avatars, brand personalities, their brand ecosystem. You know, it wasn't until like the final, even a SWOT, they did a SWOT, which resonated with me because I had to learn SWOT in my MBA program. And I'm like, oh my God, the SWOT's back. So he's got a whole bunch of tools that you use, and it helps hone down like the company, the client's messaging, what they want to get out of building their website or their branding, how they're going to do it so that everybody in the company is on the same page. And it's sort of like explaining the mindset for getting more in line or partnering with the client rather than being stuck building a website that they started and, need your help finishing. So, where there's not really much input from you as far as like direction of color, how things are laid out and stuff like that. And then let's see. This one I have yet to sign up for, but I'm going to. This one is for about DNS, sending up email. I know Susan and we went through that with Ella, and I'm still completely over my head on setting up freaking email for a website. So I need to sign up for that. And then if I have money, and if it's still around, I'd like to get into this one. This is another branding one by Scott Galloway. He's a teacher in New York for the Tisch School of, I think Tisch, School of Business. He's infamous for some of his YouTube lectures on, especially the one about WeWork. He has a very disparaging opinion about WeWork and how they got valued so highly. He's like, it's just an office space. He brings everything down to earth. So that's if I have money. I'll take that one.
That one's not cheap.
No, and it's only 3 weeks, whereas some of these other ones, they're like at least 6 to 8 weeks long. So you feel like you're getting your money's worth. But this one is because it's Galloway. He's just infamous as far as like working with businesses and their branding and their messaging and stuff like that. And he'll bring in like the financial aspects of the business and how it ties in with macroeconomics of the industry and what's going on in the world, whether they're still, on page or they're falling out of favor with other competitors and stuff like that. So anyway, so that is what I have been doing. Any questions?
Well, how are you finding the time to do all this and also work? Like, do you have like a schedule?
I know.
You must be very efficient.
Oh my God. Well, there have been a few days where I was up till 2 o'clock in the morning, just like watching videos, just pushing my way through. And some of them are drip courses. So you only get like the first module, one module per week. So you sort of have to like make sure you stay on track for doing all that. So yeah, I got sucked in. And my horoscope said at the beginning of the year that I was going to start going back to school and get education, at like around this time of the year. And I'm like, God dang it, they were right.
You're making me feel lazy. This is really impressive.
No.
I know, I'm exhausted just listening to her.
I know. But the one with, which one was it? The Brand Design Masters. That one was really interesting. I felt like I was in over my head because it was geared towards graphic designers rather than website people.
Mm-hmm.
And before I even signed up, I emailed him. I'm like, look, I build websites. I'm not a graphic designer. Is this something that's useful? And he's like, of course. He said yes, of course. But no, it was really interesting. And you get a whole bunch of tools out of this one. And I just need to digest it all and get it like settled in my brain and like how to add it into my own workflow when I start meeting with new clients. Because right now what I end up doing is that I get so excited meeting people and like, oh yes, I can help you. Let's drive in right now. And I like totally bypass like getting a contract signed. So yeah.
It's like sometimes websites are like puppies and you just want to take care of them and make sure they're okay. And that like, and even if they're not like in your right niche or maybe the client's not right for you, it's hard to turn them down sometimes.
I mean, I've been known to message companies looking at their websites, and I'm like, this is such an idiot way of fixing this. And I'll just email it to them. I'm like, just put it at top 0 and it'll fix it.
Wow.
I can't help it. Oh my goodness. So yeah, so that's what I've been doing. And of course, I also have a new big project. I don't know what it is. I never get the small local projects like the brochure 5 to 7 pagers. I always end up the 50 pager ones. I don't know how this happens, but it
That's
always
good, right?
happens. So yes. Anyway, that was my presentation.
Well, I applaud your personal growth. That's great.
And now you can come and
Nice.
teach all of us. for free.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I have to digest.
I'm really interested in that
I understand
accessibility
it.
one.
Hmm?
That accessibility one, I'm very interested in.
Yeah, that one that's very good. It covers pretty much every aspect of a website. So, like images, links, adding like a skip content button for people who are using keyboards so that they don't have to go through the hassle of hitting your menu and all of the drop down menu
Right.
items. You just
Oh,
click
okay.
the skipped content and it'll just bypass all that. And a whole bunch of other stuff, but it was pretty expensive and I was getting kind of frustrated with it because she would talk about like the PDF documents being accessible, but she wouldn't explain how to fix it. And I think she was just leaving herself avenues for us to contact her to, check and how to do all that work to get more work for herself.
Oh, yeah.
That's why when I saw in the Adobe Max, this presentation, I'm like, oh, perfect. So yeah, that kind of annoys me when you get into a course and you're expecting every little detail, but they're like, oh, you don't need to know that. Or you should like, get a second opinion from somebody else, who does accessibility in order to get their stamp of approval on the work that you've done and stuff like that for the checks and things. And I'm like, well, who are these people?
Yeah, that's like when tech support tells you, like when you email tech support and they're like, talk to a developer. You're like, I am the developer.
I
need
don't
to
know what you're talking about. Yeah, she spent a lot of time on colors, making sure those were accessible. Like I didn't even know, like in a form, like if somebody missed filling out a required field, that you have the error message that like if you're using like an icon next to the message, that the color of the icon to the background image of the icon has to be accessible. Not just like the color of the icon against the background of the page. It gets really fine-tuned into that. And I didn't realize you had to go that deep into it. And I'm working on a project now and I'm like, they have to have it accessible. So I'm like, okay, this is what we're gonna have to do. You're gonna hate it, but.
Well, that's good they have that requirement then, because they're not going to argue about it. And I hope they like budgeted for it too, for the extra work.
Oh yeah. It's the first chance I get to charge what I should be charging.
Yay.
That always feels good.
I know. And the funny thing is that when they approved the deal, the only problem they had was with the legalese of the contract, not the actual price. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. I mean, this is a company that deals with the FDA. So I'm like, no, yeah, okay, fine.
They're going to be picky
That
about the
makes
legalese.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Let me just send you my monster contract. Anyway,
Well,
so
cool. Thanks.
there you go. Next.
It's Sally.
It's me. Okay. We're gonna come over here and share my, I need to have
I
screen
need you to
sharing.
co-host.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. I'm going to share it on my wide monitor here so I can see it better. This is something I downloaded. I'm going to apologize now. Looking at this is going to make you hungry, just so you know. This is the dev
Ooh.
copy of a site I built for a caterer in New York who does also does meals twice a week. And so we didn't need like a full-on restaurant plugin, although Barn 2, this is what I'm showing. I should say what I'm showing. This is from Barn 2, and it's called Product Table. And what it does is create a product table. They also do have a restaurant app. So if you're building like an ordering site for like a pizza restaurant or something like that, this is totally what you want. But this is just Product Table. It's really good. And this one came out before the restaurant one. And when I built this one for this caterer, the restaurant one wasn't ready yet. But looking at it, it probably would have been overkill for what we want to do here anyway. So, but what it does is basically just make kind of a product table for your sales page. So it replaces the shop page in WooCommerce. It works with WooCommerce. And so this is what it creates. So we can have a little section here for this group of products. And then we can have a section here, and we have the plugin to do add-ons. So for instance, this item, you have to choose if you want it to be chicken, duck, or salmon. And then you choose 2 sides and a muffin, and you add it to your order. Okay, and that's all in the same little table. And here's another table. Cool thing is you can decide also what columns you want to show up in your table. So for instance, this on the muffins, we don't really have a detailed description of muffins. So this is built in Beaver Builder. So I'm gonna do a little front end editing here. And this works with Beaver Builder, Elementor, Divi, or if you're just using the block editor, or I suppose the classic editor would too, because each of these little tables is built. If this will load, of course we're slower now because we're on Zoom together. But each of these is a short code. So you build each table as a short code. Come on, friends, here we go. Okay, so I'm going to go in here. Oh, I didn't want to duplicate it, and I wanted to get that one. And in Beaver Builder, this is thrown into an HTML module. So you can come in here, and I'll see if I can make this a little bigger so you can see. Come on. Let me zoom in a little bit. If I can zoom in.
See me leaning in.
There we go. Zoom in a little so we can see it. So
Perfect.
you tell it it's product table, and these are the columns you want. I want the name, which is dish, the description, which is the field details. I want the price, I want the add to cart button, and you can set how wide each of those needs to be as a percentage of the whole width. And in this particular table, I only want to show things in the category muffins and bread. There's also, there are attributes that I haven't even used yet, like for the sort order, if you want to sort in a particular order. You can also use categories and tags. And you can also, if your products have photos, you can add the photo on the front, or if there's a video, you can add a video on it. So it's really powerful, and it'll really do a lot of things. So on this one, I've decided I don't want the description. So I'm just going to take that out. I'll come down here and save. Zoom back out again a little bit. Or was it? Went too far. It's in here. Let's see. I think I changed the top one that I did. Then I'll preview it. And, oh, come on.
There we go.
And so now there we are. And now that little description is gone.
Cool.
So it's really nice for sites that you just need to have like basically a catalog, or it's basically an order form. This is replacing the paper order form that he was emailing a PDF or just dropping off in various buildings around. He's in New York, dropping off in various buildings, or he had clients that were his regular clients for events, and this all came about during 2020. Because he's like, nobody's having events. What am I going to feed people? Who's going to buy food from me? So he came up with this. And so this basically just replaces that paper order form or the horrible, wretched PDF menu that we all see on restaurant sites. If it's one you can order from, if it's one that, and you know what, actually you could use it even if you're not placing orders. Because there have been times he's asked me to put up a menu early, like for Thanksgiving, put it up early so people can look at it, but I just leave off the add to order part so people can just see it. And it's really nice because all you have to do as your menu changes is go into WooCommerce and either activate or deactivate items, or you just change each of these showing which category and or tag you're using. So that
That's pretty
is
nifty.
How does it
pretty
work
nice.
on a mobile screen?
On mobile screen, it's not too bad, actually. We can just, as soon as this reloads,
up
I'll squish
tables
it
and
a little bit. See, so it'll just kind of stack up there. These get a little ugly if you have a lot of options here, but it's.
Can you do conditional logic on some of that?
I believe you can.
Okay.
I believe you can.
Like maybe hide it, and then if they select a certain item, it'll pop up.
Yeah, I believe you can. I haven't tried it, but like this is required, and choosing a side is required. So you can't place your order until you've chosen your entree and all your sides.
Okay.
So that's probably set up. So that's just a really handy little plugin that I found that I had a lot of success with. So that's all I got.
Cool.
Yay.
Sandy.
Yay.
Yeah. So what have you got for us, Ken?
Yeah, I could do this. Probably not a very long presentation, but I got this up and running. So
Okay,
see,
your
can I do this?
co-host.
All right, I'll bring up my screen too here. And the plugin that I thought was worth at least some note, it's a nice tool for kind of back end work, but also can have customer implications as well. This one, AMR users. It's been around for years. It's very utilitarian. Basically what it does is come down here, it's installed. So I come into user lists and just go to configure a list. And basically what it'll do, initially when you run it the first time, it'll go through and find basic fields that have been set up, populated by just about any plugin. And assuming they didn't do something really bizarre with the with setting up the fields, so just put them pretty much in a normal way in somewhere in the WordPress database, then it'll be able to find them. So it finds the obvious stuff, username and the various things for someone who has an account, but it's also finding things that were part of Ultimate Member, which this one is running. And it's also finding things from other plugins as well. So it'll find the first ones, and then if you add more plugins, you could just come in here and manage fields for everything, basically. Find any new fields, and it just basically looks over the whole database and finds everything that looks interesting and makes it available for reporting. So once it's found them, go back to configure list. And we've got this massive list here of everything it found. The ones that I put a presentation display order number into will cause it to appear when I actually run the list. And also the sort order can be, if you want it to go in ascending or descending, and which one you want to show first, second, third. I've got these three marked. So if I've got put these numbers the way I want them so that the fields that I like will show up, and then hit the update. So it should be ready. And then I come and rebuild cache, which basically is the same as running the report. So now what I've got is the information in those fields. Doesn't matter what it's from, it's just displaying it in whatever order. And you can change how many appear on the page and so forth. I asked for quite a few. So there's a scroll bar here to get the ones that you can't see on the screen. If you export it to CSV or text, you'll get everything. And you can do basic searching and so forth. So the other thing, the other display mode it can have is it can interpret the fields to some degree. So if I choose the second mode of the list, these pictures, instead of just showing the picture name is in the database, it actually interprets it. So you get to see the picture. And it should show, yeah, it only shows those things that it interprets. And let's see if there's anything else of particular interest. And don't want to delete anything because this is an actual site. You can set up multiple predefined lists, and then you can actually put them in a page if you want to have something that the user can see. So it could be, in this case, with Ultimate Member, it could be an alternate text-based user directory, which doesn't go through Ultimate Member to display the information. You can kind of peer into other plugins, fields that you've set up and see what they're doing and what people are putting into. Since this is an association membership type site, a number of people have been putting in their own information, so it's nice to be able to zip through and see what's been coming in. So as I say, I like this one. I've used it for years. It's still hanging around. It's still kind of got its niche and very handy for what it does.
So Ken, are you using it like to sort of manage users to kind of keep an eye on who's got what field set and or who might be missing information?
I've used it for that, to give me a quick report to see what they're doing and who's bothering to fill out the profiles, the user profiles, and who isn't, or if it's bad information, you can kind of quickly scan through it. Whereas in Ultimate Member, to deal with those fields, I have to pull up the profile and take a look through and then pull up the next one and so forth.
Yeah.
So here I'm dealing directly with the fields.
Now you're able to dump this CSV file, I guess, into like a, like a ConvertKit type program where like.
You should be able to. You might need to massage it somewhat first, obviously, since Excel.
Because you got their names and their emails, I see in there.
Yeah, ConvertKit or Infusionsoft, one of those guys should be able to take an import that
So
way.
you'll probably want to like make sure your privacy policy is included in on that.
Yes. Absolutely.
Before you start email bombing them.
Yeah, no, you don't necessarily want to just dump them in, and I wouldn't want to do that, but yeah, it would dovetail in this site pretty well for a newsletter. So they put on their profile, they're obviously interested, they went to the trouble of putting in username and password and maybe putting a few pictures of their work. And then Yeah, they might be good candidates for newsletter.
Mhm.
And since you mentioned that kind of sweeping in the user information, the inverse of the AMR users, it reports. I've got a somewhere here, trying to find it now. Yeah, import and export users and customers.
Mm.
I can bring people into the membership from a spreadsheet. And it works with Ultimate Member, probably works with other things as well. So it really is kind of an inverse utility. And it's very, very specific. You must put the fields you're importing,
In the
you
correct
must name
order.
them into a certain format and put them in the place that you're telling it that you're putting it, or else it blows up. But when it works, it's very handy, especially if you have a large spreadsheet of users you want to dump in.
Cool.
I have question. It is also import user passwords.
Yes, the import and export users, you can put in the spreadsheet password, and it will preload the password as it puts them in. It's not too exciting to see. I hadn't planned on showing this one, but I'm trying to see where it's under tools or where they stick it. Yeah. Well, wait a minute. Import and export users and customers. All right. Yeah, I'll see if I can remember this. Okay. Not too hard. CSV file, you obviously have to set up. If you want an example, I think they have one here somewhere.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't remember where they put their example. They do have one, a sample is ready to go. Default roles is pulling directly from what's been put into your WordPress site. You can have it replace values or just put them in from scratch. You can actually, I don't think I use this feature, but you can have it send an email to those who are being swept into your membership. And yeah, that's about all I remember to show right now. I haven't actually had to run one of these in a couple of years, but it is very handy if you, especially to jumpstart the site so that you can get 100 or 200 people in there right away from maybe a conversion that you're doing.
Mhm.
So anything else of interest? Any other questions or thoughts?
That AMR users looks pretty interesting. I'm actually I've got a bug on an Ultimate Member site that I built right now that there's just a problem in the user settings somewhere. The users can't do something they should be able to do. So I was thinking maybe that AMR plugin, if I just look at all the fields all at once, maybe I'll be
Yeah.
able to see where the problem is.
Yeah, we could talk about that sometime because I've had similar problems. I've managed to muddle through some of them, so there's a chance I might recognize what's
I
happening
will,
here.
if I can't figure out by myself by early next week, I'm gonna hit you up, I think. I think I set something up in Ultimate Member for the client and I was like, here, test it. They're like, I can't see any of those buttons. And I'm like, okay.
Dang it.
I can, huh?
Yeah, since we
It works
already
on my
did,
machine.
Yep.
Yeah, if it works with me.
we already did an Ultimate Member, a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And so it covered quite a bit, but if anybody had any questions on Ultimate Member, I have this armed and ready on the site as well. So
I have a question that's completely off topic.
okay.
For this customer that I'm building their website for, they want to sell their one product. They have one, maybe three by the end of like next year or something. But we felt that adding WooCommerce would be too much code to add to the
Code.
site for just one product. And I'm sort of thinking of possibly just setting up like a Gravity form with Stripe
Sure. Paper.
on it But we want to be able to charge for sales tax and shipping. And I'm not sure exactly how to do that because my knowledge about Stripe integration and using Stripe is very limited.
Well, Stripe is
Yeah.
easy,
Any
but
other-
all it's gonna do
anyone-
is just do the payment. It's not gonna like magically calculate tax for you, I don't think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, tax and shipping, that'd be a calculation field before it ever hits Stripe.
Yeah.
Stripe
Okay.
just says
That would
charge
be it,
this
like,
much.
that would
That's
be,
all
in-
it does.
yeah,
You-
that would be in like Gravity then, right?
You
Yeah.
also need a like invoice for that, right? You need to send invoice to
You need to
customer when they
emails.
purchase.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you
God.
have to create invoice. You also need a like new order. You know, in new
Yeah.
order field, you need reports. You need like, you know, which is like where is a shipment field. You have to send like shipment like tracking ID. You have to send.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It sounds like
I
a
suggest
Gravity
use
like-
WooCommerce for that. I know it's like little bit, but you have to add so much. If it is like ebook or like digital stuff, then you can use it Gravity Form.
No,
But
it's a
it is
physical
like good
product.
product, then you have to use like Woo or like there is some other plugins also are available, but Woo is
Okay.
best right now
So you're saying go with Woo.
Yeah.
because you have to like develop so
I'm-
many stuff on Gravity Form.
I kind
I'm
of
gonna
feel,
second that too.
Yeah.
I
Just
think
install
WooCommerce
Woo
is the way to go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
here's the
even
reason
though-
why. Every time that I've dealt with a client who's selling one item, that
Yeah.
one item never stays one item. It
Yeah,
always becomes two, it becomes three, and you overload what system that you have.
all right.
And now what you're trying to do is you're trying to almost backwards engineer all the stuff that WooCommerce was made for. Yes, there's
I
a
know.
plugin that will go in and tell you what your shipping costs are based on what carrier.
Yeah,
And it doesn't seem like, it seems like it's overkill to do it for one item, but that one item is going to turn to two, which is going to turn to three. I
yeah,
believe WooCommerce out of the box does your tax calculations for you.
Mm-hmm.
And in the future you have to maintain so much on Gravity Form. So then after you have to remove Gravity Form and come back to WooCommerce.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then the next thing they're going to ask you for, and I know this because I'm in the middle of it right now, they're going to say, okay, but I want to print the shipping label straight from it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, that's fine, but now you have to give me all the dimensions of your thing because the shippers charge by the box size and the box weight and how far it's going.
Yeah.
So, you know, by
Yeah.
the time you start stacking all these things up and they'll say, well, I have an account with you, UPS and USPS. And it's like, okay, that's fine. We can connect that, but we
But
still
you
have to have
still-
this data to send to them.
Yeah,
Otherwise they have no idea how much to charge.
right.
and,
Okay.
and WooCommerce isn't that. I mean, I don't want to like trivialize and say it's not that difficult, but it's not like it's a lot of stuff, but none of it is particularly complicated.
Right.
It's just sitting down and thinking through what they're asking for and getting the information. in there.
Exactly. E-commerce itself is a many-headed beast.
Yeah, I know.
Because you do have to think about all these things and nobody wants to because it's boring and unsexy, but you know, it just, you have to solve all these things, unfortunately.
Plus, they're talking about having a fulfillment center do the actual shipping, like storing and shipping the product.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay.
I'm sure
And
the fulfillment center is going to have requirements of how they have to receive the information.
No, and it's so stupid because, okay, this is going to be a device used in a fertility clinic for men to give over their sample,
Okay.
which this collection device can be taken home, used, and then shipped to the lab from home.
So you're selling cups.
Yes, basically.
Okay.
So they, and the client is talking to a lot of clinics about getting their product in the clinic. And the clinic is like, we'd rather have the customer buy the cup off of your website rather than them buying like a whole box full of cups, which can
Right.
be pretty expensive, which is understandable. But for me, as like a patient, in like any other situation, I'm like, okay, I'm already at the doctor's office or I'm already at the pharmacist. you know, that you already have my insurance information to help pay for this thing. So why can't I get it from the actual clinic or from the pharmacy? Why do I have to go to a website to get this thing?
Wait a second. So you're saying, I'll try to be as gentle as I can with this.
Go ahead.
A person will show up
Mhm,
at a doctor's office ready to use a cup and then find out that there are no cups.
mhm.
They have to go then and order a cup.
Well, they have to get a prescription for it too.
Oh,
Oh,
oh, oh,
Okay, it's an order.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's not, yeah, it's an order from a doctor you have to have.
yeah. But they still
So-
want to be able to have the customer order the cup online through their website rather than picking it up at the clinic. So I'm just like trying to like mentally
Oh,
figure this out, and I'm like totally tripping over myself with this.
I don't
then
know
you
if
must
that
go
makes
with a
sense.
WooCommerce.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's
Yeah.
too
Definitely
much.
on WooCommerce. It's just the
Yeah.
logistics of it seem weird.
And
Okay.
it's not,
That might
it's
make
not
it this
that,
difficult.
it's not that bad of a resource hog. I mean, it looks like a lot, but I don't think it really slows.
It's
I
not
haven't noticed it
terrible.
slow
It's
down
not.
It
the site.
isn't.
Yeah. I've
It's
installed
not-
it on sites for like 2 or 3 products.
Yeah.
I mean,
And-
I've done WooCommerce before, and I've done it before. It's just like we're just consciously trying to keep the number of plugins down. I mean, just
Sure.
trying to keep
Yeah.
things as light as possible.
Yeah, but this is
Yeah.
a huge
I
thing you
know.
need done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I just finished an e-commerce site that I got a lot of pushback from the guy who's doing the hosting about all the plugins. And I said, well, e-commerce is complicated and there's a lot of data you have to maintain.
Right.
I mean,
You
there just
can't do it with a
is.
$3.99 site. You can't do it with a
Yeah.
$3.99 hosting plan.
Yeah, you just
Mhm.
can't. I mean, it's good hosting, but you know, he had to allocate more space to it. I'm like, yeah, you do, because there's a lot of data you got to maintain and a lot of data you got to manage.
Yeah.
And that's
You know what I
regardless of
suggest?
if you're selling one thing or 10,000 things.
Hmm.
And that would be a
Yeah.
topic for another session too, is not necessarily a WooCommerce presentation, but a WooCommerce workshop. Because I think just about everybody uses it, but we all run into our own special problems and snags.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw it was a WordCamp talk at WordCamp Chicago, back when we could have WordCamps.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
It was a
Birmingham was
WordCamp
having theirs.
Chicago about exactly this. Okay, so say you said the example he gave was a pet store that sold fish.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So how much does the fish weigh? Well, the fish weighs like 2 ounces. And how about the water in the container? Oh, wait, that's more. And how
Yeah.
big is it? Oh, wait, that's more. I got to know that dimension. And you know,
Where's
it's just,
it going?
yeah.
How is it going?
How far is it going? Does it have to go overnight? And is it special because it's a live thing? You know?
I will also say that your Woo interactions aren't going to be very complicated as much as the interactions of that are not computer related. It's like this
Yes.
cup.
Yeah.
Okay, this cup weighs something. It's got to be in a box.
Right.
It has dimensions. You can't just wing it and change boxes halfway through, because that'll throw off your shipping costs.
Yeah.
Does this cup? This is awful, but are there variations to this cup? Does it come in colors or size? I don't want to say sizes, but
It's just a cup.
but I know.
It's
but
a really good cup.
But they always use the T-shirt, the T-shirt
Right.
example
No, I
where
know.
like,
Colors,
colors,
sizes,
sizes.
and yeah.
But you don't there may be variations on a product, and again, you're kind of all set if you do the
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that, the one Woo site that I did do, we were adding in tax jar. We were adding a plugin to connect with her QuickBooks. Susan, this is Ella's thing, and then she was adding Shippo for the shipping.
Now that's
think
kind of
it's going
customer
okay.
specific though. It's like they want all these utilities. They understand that, okay, that means we have to connect something else in some way.
Mhm.
And so that's where you like this one I'm asking today. First he wanted to do just flat rate shipping,
Mhm.
because he figured it's a small thing and shipping would be local. It'll be,
Mhm.
Southern Illinois at the most. Then he got his first order to California. cost a lot more than his flat rate shipping.
Yeah, that happens.
So he didn't like that. And I said, well, we can do, we can do live rate, but I have to have all the dimensions on all the things.
Doesn't
Yeah.
Well,
wait.
he has a lot of products on there, so you want to do that. Okay. All right. So we can do zone shipping, table rate
Yeah,
shipping.
sounds-
We can do that. But you have to tell me how much do you want for each zone. And so we're still trying to get that information. Then he says, well, I want to be able to print labels.
So I might be reaching out
Okay.
to everybody for help on this when we get to
No
it.
problem.
That's what the Slack
Do it.
channel's for.
I know.
Yeah.
Yep, Slack channel plug, type your email in the chat
Yeah.
if you want to be invited to our Slack channel.
We need a WooCommerce section.
We've all been there. We've all had these conversations in one way or another.
Oh, I know. It's just, and I'm trying to like be conscious of like what the client wants but I'm also trying to like figure out what's easiest to do overall. And I'm like, and it's got to be accessible on top of it. And I'm like, oh my
Oh,
God.
man.
I
Wow.
just love the answer one time I got from a hairdresser who I said I wanted a particular haircut, and she went, well, we can do that, but I don't think you'll like it.
Let me record this first. Okay, we'll do it.
Or yeah, we can do it. And it's like that. I had to hire a guy to dig a well at an office I worked in. We were out west.
Mhm.
And our well went dry, so we had to dig another one. He said, well, I can always get you water. It's a matter of money.
Yeah, and I remember having a conversation with them about like, well, how are you going to keep track of the inventory? How much you have like, as the sales come through? What process do you have set up in order to like know if you're down to one cup and you can't, what are you going to do?
That's your inventory alert. Yeah.
Right. So
You know
I mean,
what you
I
can
just
do?
overall, I
is-
just rather the clinic like order a whole box of them and just like charge the client right then and there and like, here, take it home, use it whenever you want, just ship it to
Yes.
this and you're done.
Yeah.
I did have an interesting project that sounded a little similar. This is test kits for omega levels in the blood.
Mhm.
And these test kits were actually, they had registration numbers on them. So I had to do an API project, which Claire knows about, because I was trying to pry for information at the time. But basically, that was the first and only so far API project that I've had to do, where I actually had to interface with a company, and then these registered test kits would be sent in, and then through the API we could get the results tagged to that particular test. And that was interesting. They did follow supposedly the RESTful standards, and that was very helpful. But that turned out to be a lot more of a project than I anticipated.
Yeah, my client's not going that deep on that. The lab will send the results to the clinic and,
Let them do that, yeah.
if it's all good, you're good.
Yeah.
Wait 9 months and you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I think that test has been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has. Quite a while. Okay, well, thank you very much. I was just like really trying to figure out the simple way of like just like running it through, gravity forms, because ultimately it's just a form.
No, it's
No.
not,
No.
it's real world.
So much more.
Yeah. You
Darn
need
it.
all the stuff.
I want something simple. Okay.
Not when you're selling physical products.
No.
Why do you think I want to do child themes?
Or send them to Shopify, send them, maybe this isn't the right client.
Could
No.
be.
Go with
Could be.
Webflow.
Oh,
Webflow?
I got a question about that. I've got several
Yeah,
clients here
Webflow.
saying, we're going to Webflow. Has anybody else run across that?
I know it's the latest, greatest thing. out there,
Yeah, and then
but
there,
I've
it's
heard that they have speed issues.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there's
It's like
like-
they are saying it's like easily like drag and drop stuff, but it's not. You have to know all the grid stuff, and you have to know like CSS, advanced CSS stuff.
Oh, wow.
So it's not like drag and drop stuff like Divi or Elementor or like other builder.
But it's on a platform similar to like a Wix.
Yeah,
where
Wix.
once you're
It's
on
like
there, you
Wix,
can't leave.
Editor X kind of stuff.
Yeah, but you can't leave and like migrate to
Yeah.
someone else and keep
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
layout and stuff like that.
Yep.
So
I have one question for everyone. As anybody knows about like HIPAA compliant hosting?
who?
No.
HIPAA, HIPAA.
Oh, HIPAA.
Medical
HIPAA.
records you're talking about. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Like I have one client who has like medical stuff, but they want like HIPAA compliant website.
You'd have to talk to the hosting companies
Yeah.
and talk about getting.
Yeah,
HIPAA
they already purchased a GoDaddy, and I suggest.
No!
Oh,
I
God.
don't think so.
That won't be HIPAA.
They
Pretty much
purchased it
anything
already
out-
for 3 years, and I said like, oh God.
No,
Huh,
no.
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
No, you have to like call the hosting company and ask if they have HIPAA.
I
compliant.
research everywhere. There is less companies available for
I mean-
HIPAA, and they are charging a lot.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
It has to be HIPAA
Yeah, I bet.
compliant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I built a site for a local dentist and he
Yeah.
has an internal
client-
server system that
Right.
is HIPAA compliant, but he has his
Right.
website over on SiteGround that I built
Yeah.
for him. And like,
Right.
I have like all of his new patient forms and PDFs downloadable. They
Right.
can email it back to them, but I make sure I declare that, it's being emailed outside of a HIPAA compliant server. It's going through
Right.
email. So if you're uncomfortable
but
with
which
that,
email ID they are using? And some like Google is also not HIPAA compliant. Like you have
Yeah.
to configure that.
yeah,
So,
just
like,
not
they are
secure.
saying,
Yeah.
yeah,
just find a way of informing people if they're
yeah.
going
So
to be like,
I use right now Zoho.com for email. They are
No.
HIPAA compliant. They are. You
it's
have
a
to sign.
completely
Like,
different level.
yeah. Zoho CRM. So yeah, they
Yeah,
have.
Liquid Web does HIPAA compliance, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
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 It is
Mm.
not cheap.
Oh
Single
my
server,
goodness. You're not
384 a month.
kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I know you mentioned GoDaddy, but I just want to point out, like GoDaddy says, hold on. HIPAA compliance features. That's not necessarily HIPAA compliant with premium plans. So I'm not really sure what
You
that
have
is.
to
Like,
file.
Have to call them.
yeah, that doesn't sound like, that doesn't make me comfortable.
No.
No.
Right.
Yeah. Or it's going to be one of those, if you have to ask, you can't afford it.
Right.
I don't know who is your client? Is it like
It's a local dentist.
It's a dentist.
local dentist?
So
Then
I
their
told
own-
them like we are not saving any, patient information. So it's right now it's
Yeah.
fine. But in future they want, like online forms, then you have to
Mhm.
all the HIPAA compliance stuff.
Yeah, if you're collecting any information.
Definitely check
Yeah.
out the accessibility thing.
Yeah.
that they-
Yeah.
Yeah, I have all I did all.
I did not know that. Now I
It seems
do.
like a lot of medical fields, there are kind of services set up just to do medical
Right.
office websites, and
Yeah.
they provide all that stuff. That might
Yeah.
be a better way to
I
go
don't
for
know.
them. I don't know. I
some
mean, the
of those
sites are not
places-
spectacular. They are not.
Right.
Some of those places are just like, website, mills that just
Yeah.
focus in on like dentists and that's all they do, but they're not exactly accessible. They're just
Yeah.
like, this is gonna be
Yeah.
your logo, this is gonna be your content, these are gonna be your blog posts, they'll do all of that and like, this is your colors and and stuff.
Yeah,
like
you can't
that.
really
So-
customize it.
No, but I
First-
doubt that they do any accessibility.
Right. First they suggested like green logo. I said like, no, it's not, like accessibility, like good
Mm-hmm.
logo, because like some colorblind people can't see green.
Yeah.
Right.
So I like
Yeah.
that. Like, come on, change it. No.
Yeah, I got through the color portion of the course
Yeah.
and I'm like looking at all the colors that people just can't see. And I'm like, so we can't use any colors.
Any color, yeah. Use black and
Blue.
white.
Everything is
only.
blue.
Even black text
Yeah.
on white backgrounds you can't use because there's a
Right.
syndrome, Erlin syndrome, where people with Erlin syndrome, they'll see like the text wave or roll, and then sometimes it'll even river where there's like
Wow.
big blocks of white space between your text right in the middle of like the paragraph or whatever. So yeah,
Yeah.
even black on white is not good.
So you are saying Google is not like accessibility
No.
plan?
Can't win.
I know. I
Just
was
kidding.
very depressed after listening to that. And I'm like, damn it. I like the colors.
Yeah.
They're so pretty.
Right.
Yeah, even red is a problem for people that has traumatic brain injuries,
Mm.
which is, you know, probably more common now after like all the troops coming back from Afghanistan and Iraq and stuff like that from, you know, IEDs exploding and things, but
Red's also a problem for people with low vision because it's a short wavelength
mhm,
of light. So red is harder to see.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, blue, green, yellow, red. Yeah, that's pretty much all the colors.
So
Anyway,
the important thing is contrast, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
And also get a accessibility statement. You can generate that for free on the W3
Yeah.
.org, whatever.
Yeah.
Just states that you're working on it.
Mhm.
Right.
We're doing our best.
We're
If you
working
see
on
something,
it.
please let us know.
Yes, we want to sell you our products.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Thank you for the help on the WooCommerce thing.
But I suggest like use like, you know, subdomain for that for only Woo part. That will be your like main website will be really light for you, like for the user, so it can load easily. It don't has like too much Woo on that. Use like subdomain for only
Well,
that portion,
I'm building it
like
with
/store or something.
Yeah, I'm building it with Divi. So, and it has like all the WooCommerce Divi modules. So I can really customize the product page really well. So I was just hoping just to like skip that and just do a form.
Yeah.
That does too much.
You know, that is
Yeah.
if they wanted to like, you know, have like all the information to ship it to and then have all the credit card information. And then they
Well-
just have to manually do it on their end, but that's
Yeah.
just too unrealistic. Anyway,
Elementor just released like pro version, like they can now you can customize checkout page, cart page, and like my account page as well. They just
Yeah.
released the new version.
I know Divi's working on it. They've been updating the code base actually on Divi. They basically had to rewrite the entire code base.
Oh,
So
geez.
I know they
Ugh.
broke it up so that like if you're not using certain modules, it won't load all of the CSS for that module like what it did before, which like made everything slow, which is what everybody complained about.
Right.
But they've been like hammering us with updates like every other day, it seems like,
Wow.
because everybody finds little
Right.
things wrong with it.
Yeah, I have question. Is anyone has a use a WooCommerce block, like checkout block? It's like really
Not
good
yet.
layout. It is really good. Like it's look like a Shopify.
Huh.
Yeah,
That's in the
WooCommerce
Gutenberg?
block for checkout.
Yeah.
Gutenberg. It's like really cool.
Cool.
I hope they improve and like like I want like React stuff. It's loading like like we have in Shopify. Yeah,
Sounds
it's
like you
really
just need to
cool.
build it in Shopify, whatever you build.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's-
with
that's-
What else
WooCommerce,
I'm learning
like,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm learning Shopify too. But
Oh my goodness, Nancy, you're busy.
I'm just like, and then plus I'm trying to like sell all my stuff on eBay and upload all my grandfather's slides to my S3 server on AWS. And
Mm.
I'm pissed off that my internet connection is so slow. My iPad died after 9 years. I'm like, go. I know life is difficult. Anyway,
Well, it's 8 o'clock, so
Yeah.
we, that's
oh my gosh.
officially our ending time.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming, everybody. We'll make this recording available online in case anybody wants to refer to it in the future. I think it should include all the links that people posted in chat. And we will have something set up for next month, although we're not
Alright.
sure if we're something celebratory, something holiday-like. It'll be
So
fun.
we're not doing the dinner.
Oh,
I don't know, there's some talk
I
about
see.
that, like, but an in-person meeting is very complicated.
Yeah.
Now it is nowadays, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, we'll find out if we meet in person who's worried about COVID spreading and who's
Yeah.
who's
Yeah,
okay
like
with it.
4 people.
Oh, come
4
on, get
people.
over it.
4 people at a picnic table.
Yeah.
Need to find a place with the heating outside or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice,
Some places are
20
actually pretty darn warm, you know.
20-degree weather should be perfect. Or snow falling.
Ugh.
Hot tub or something.
Oh, there we go. Hot tub.
There you
Okay, that would be a very different.
Yeah,
workout
that
meeting.
would be, yes.
Mm.
Have you guys seen the new commercial? It's on YouTube for Iceland, visiting Iceland. They do a total spoof off of Facebook's metaverse.
Dear.
oh,
Hilarious. I want to go to Iceland, but they like, yeah, it's really funny. Sorry.
is there any webcam over there?
It probably is. Don't know if they're letting anybody in right now, though.
Yeah.
Have to look into that.
All
Okay, I'm gonna
right.
stop the recording.
Yeah, well said. So yeah, what's coming up next year?
Year. It's already next year.